Hi everyone. This is first module, first video for DES 228 Web Design Fundamentals. I am your instructor, David Hurwich. Um, Welcome to the course. Happy to have you here. Looking forward to meeting you all, at least digitally through Zoom. You're watching me in a pre-recorded video. Yay for that. Hopefully you guys all have access to Canvas. I basically, live inside Canvas. Sorry about that. Hit the mute button by accident. I kind of live inside Canvas, so should be able to access the first module, which is right there. Okay. Um, So today is really just syllabus day. I'm not going to get too deep into anything. I'm just going to kind of, talk about what we do in this course, go through the syllabus so I can legally say that I did that. I'll show some examples of student work that was done last time I taught the course. We'll talk about kind of introducing ourselves, all that kind of good stuff. If you want to follow along with my syllabus, this is the official syllabus. You can download and take a look at it right there. All right, let us go through the syllabus. All right, this is DES 228, Section 1, Interaction. Sorry, I guess it's not Web Design Fundamentals. It is Interaction Design. Oh, no, sorry, it is Web Design Fundamentals. I mislabeled that. I will fix that hopefully before the time you download this. Um, my name is David Hurwich. I've been an instructor. My background, real quick, I have a BFA in fine arts. I'm actually working on my master's in computer science. I actually have a BFA in sculpture, believe it or not. I know that's kind of random to be teaching web development, but when I moved out here, this would have been about 20-ish years ago. I switched over to doing more digital stuff because, people didn't want to really pay me to make a bronze sculpture for them, but they did want to pay me to do their website or, uh, program something in Flash or whatever. So that's kind of why I made the switch. I have an email, David Hurwich at sfsu.edu. You're welcome to use it. The thing about that is I also teach at multiple colleges. And if you have any lecturer that works at multiple colleges, every college they work at gives them their own email, which sounds great, except what it really means is that you actually have to check like four different inboxes every day. It's kind of a pain. So another way to email me or get in contact with me via email is one, you can contact me through Canvas email, which is actually better since I'm checking Canvas anyway, because that's how I grade and I check the feed, like the discussions and all that anyway, so it's kind of already there. And the other is you can use my actual email, which is just my name, davidhurwich@gmail.com. Like everyone else in the world, I check out them a couple times a day. I have a website. You don't really need to go to it, but you can go to it if you want. It's kind of some of my interaction stuff. I'm not going to be putting any of the coursework there, but whatever. Um, Class time. So this course is a hybrid course. Okay, what does that mean? What that means is that we meet both online and not in person, but like what it means is sometimes you'll be watching pre-recorded videos like this, that will be Monday, and then we actually meet live, although live via Zoom on Wednesdays. Okay. So there is like live sessions where you can talk to me like a real person and I'm going to respond in real time and that kind of stuff. Um, but I will be releasing modules as well. So that's why it's called a hybrid. It's kind of a mix of two different things. Our classes will meet every Wednesday, 9 a.m. to 11:45, okay, via Zoom, and I'll talk about that later. I'm also holding office hours officially from 12 to 1 o'clock every Friday, okay, via Zoom. It's actually going to be the same Zoom that we use for our Wednesday session, okay. Um, This is a 3-unit course. Section 01. The reason why I tell you that is for some reason, let's just say this course doesn't work out for you. You change your job or you change your schedule around and you want a different, there are other sections of this course that meet at different times. So just be aware of that. If that's, works out for you, great. All right. What do we do in this course? Glad you asked. This course is an introduction to web design and development. Fundamentals of UX, UI, and visual interface design, interaction design, GUI or graphical user interface development will be introduced. Students will learn and apply basic design principles and elements to live websites built from scratch with an understanding of HTML and CSS. Additionally, students will learn to create and optimize raster and vector images and embed existing video for web. Essentially what that means is, like it sounds, I'm going to teach you the basics of web design, both from like a planning, but also from, which is like what kind of content, what color should things be, what fonts should they be, but also the literal coding, which in this case incorporates hypertext markup language or HTML and cascading style sheets, also known as CSS. I'm not going to get into JavaScript. For those of you who might be computer science people, once you take this course, I strongly recommend like a basic JavaScript class that would really kind of um, let you kind of take your websites to kind of the next level, basically, where you can start having it do cool things where you press a button and something appears or disappears or, calculate, checks forms for data things, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to be covering that in this course. Okay, just be aware of that. This is wrong. This was for, I apologize. This was for my 327. Actually, I don't think there's any prerequisites for this course. So we're going to skip past that. Whoops. Learning objectives. By the end of this course, students will understand and employ web development fundamentals, including brainstorming, researching, and wireframing. Web development vocabulary, file structure, proper file naming and file management, how to prepare and optimize images and vector images for the web, how to design and code a website from scratch using HTML and CSS, how to embed video files into HTML and CSS, fundamentals of user testing, and critical thinking skills through giving and receiving critiques. Okay. So hopefully you sort of see that it's not just learning HTML, CSS, but we're going to talk about planning, you know, just like any other major project, whether it's a poster or a game, or if you're an engineer building a bridge, you don't just suddenly build a bridge, right? You plan stuff out. You do, think about things, you problem solve, then you get to the final solution, the final solution to the design problem or an engineering problem you're trying to do. We are doing the same thing. In this case, it's going to be how do we present digital information in the sense of a web page or a website as opposed to a bridge or a poster. But it's still like you're planning things out. You might be doing researching, especially if you're working with clients, wireframing, which is about layout and planning, and we'll talk more about that. You guys will learn all sorts of vocabulary that are specific to web development, whether you want to or not, but it helps to understand it if you talk to anyone else who's in this area. File structure, which is a general kind of tech thing. Uh, we will talk about raster and vector images really briefly. So if you're not sure what that term means, don't worry, we're going to go over that. Things like that. Teaching methodology. This course will be taught as a hybrid course, meaning all lectures will be taught online and through Canvas and live via Zoom. Online modules will be released every Monday and Wednesday at 12:01 Pacific Standard Time. The live session will be every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 11:45 Pacific Standard Time. Students are required to attend the live session as part of their participation grade. So, the way it's going to work is you will get a module. In fact, you will usually get 2 modules per week. Okay. They are released on Mondays at 12:01 a.m. and at Wednesday at 12:01 a.m. Okay. Modules will usually contain things like slides. Depending on the module, there'll be what I call in-class exercises, which are like demonstration files to work with that are not graded, but to practice with. There'll be videos. Depending on the day, there'll be a homework assignment, that kind of stuff. There might be links to relevant websites that I think are useful for whatever it is that we're talking about. So those two modules will be released twice a week, as I said, and we have a live session, which is every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 11:45 Pacific Standard Time. You are required to attend the live session. It is not optional. Okay, it counts as part of your participation grade. Okay, um, I know it's kind of in some ways maybe I'm being hypocritical here because but I'm going to get on this soapbox about I'm trying to have a community here. I know the fact that this is like a recorded video is kind of like running against that. But I do want us to have like a community, and part of that is talking live with each other. So, sometimes we will use pre-recorded videos like this, and sometimes we'll talk live. And I think that that is beneficial to you. That's why I require it. It's why, it's what makes this course different than like literally just a YouTube playlist of videos about web development, that kind of thing. You can talk to me live, you can talk to other people live, we learn from each other, all good stuff. All right, let's talk about the things that you are going to need. These are the course requirements. Required hardware, meaning like a physical thing. First is you're going to need a laptop or a computer that you can consistently use. This is a purely digital course, meaning all the work you're going to be doing has to be or should be on a computer. I don't know how you would really do this course. I guess you could write it out, but that would be weird. Um, Second is you really should have some sort of storage device, like a thumb drive, flash drive to store your work. You may be There might be a situation where you're switching computers or you're going from your work computer to your work, home computer, and you got to back something up. So having a USB drive would be, really useful. You can buy them from like the student center. I mean, they sell them at, I was about to say CompUSA, but that does not exist anymore. What's the word I'm looking for? Not Circuit Center. I don't know. The place that sells TVs. What sells TVs? I can't think of it. My brain's dead. I can kill me. Buy a TV. Where is it? Best Buy. That's the word I'm looking for. Basically, any place that sells technology should sell a thumb drive like this. They're very cheap. I haven't bought them in a while because I have a whole bunch, but you could probably get like a 30 gig for like $10, $15. I would be surprised if it's more than that. Um, I would also strongly recommend that you have a digital backup. What we say called cloud storage. Cloud is just a fancy word for online storage. So I don't care what you use. If you're a Google Drive kind of person like I am, you're a Microsoft OneDrive or whatever it's called. You guys, I think, get a box account, or at least you used to through SF State. So if you want to use that. It's just a great way to back stuff up so that you can always easily switch between computers. I like basically have my entire life backed up in the Google Drive. In the case that like my computer dies or whatever, it's very easy for me to get files. So like I don't know, bibbity bobbity boom. Here's an image, and I'm just gonna upload this. This is a screenshot I was setting up earlier. Oops, probably didn't. Okay, now it's uploaded. There it is. All right, let's just say for the sake of argument, oops, I deleted this file. Or maybe I'm switching computers, like from this computer, which is my laptop, to, I don't know, my work computer, or I'm at my parents' house for some reason, and I didn't bring my computer with me, and I'm using my mom's laptop or something. I can just log into Google Drive, and if I needed this file for whatever reason, I could just simply download it. Here's the download button I was looking for. All right. So, the kind of files that we're dealing with in this course are very small. Coding files don't usually take up that much space. I think most of them are legitimately going to be smaller than like a megabyte. So, you know, very easy to back up, that kind of stuff. Required software. What I am going to need you guys to have certain software installed on your computer. Um, in terms of image editing, I'm going to be using a free browser-based program called Photopea. I'm using it A because it's free, B it's cross-platform because it's browser-based, so it doesn't matter if you have a Mac or a PC. This is how I'm going to be teaching image editing because I don't want people who don't necessarily have the Adobe suite to have to go buy it. If you use the Adobe suite, that's fine too. It's your call. I'm not requiring people get the Adobe suite. I'm gonna, if you want to edit your images with Photoshop, that's your prerogative. I don't care personally. Adobe does not pay me either way. Photopea does not pay me. So you use whatever program is the best for you. When we get to vector editing, I'm going to be using Figma, which I would argue is probably the most popular vector program. In terms of it's very popular for prototyping. A lot of user experience is using as it works with vector. Sorry, is works with Figma. Once again, it's like if you want to use Adobe Illustrator because you like Adobe Illustrator, that's fine too. It's your prerogative. You just need some sort of vector editor. This is a coding class, which means you need a coding program. I'm going to be using this program, Visual Studio Code. Why am I using it? Mostly because A, it is free, and B, it is cross-platform, meaning it should work if you have Mac or PC. I don't think it works on mobile or tablet. I might be wrong. So you do obviously need to install this on a desktop type computer or laptop, but like anything that is running a standard desktop laptop operating system like Windows or OS X should be able to run this. Once again, it's up to you. You can use any coding program you want. So if you're like a big Sublime or Atom or whatever, that's your call. Just note that when I demo in my videos and in class, everything will be demoed through Visual Studio Code. But at the end of the day, it's just a tool and the two both tools do the same thing. So if you like, a different coding program, once again, that's up to you. Um, Eventually, you guys are going to need something called a file transfer protocol application, also known as FTP. I'm not going to even begin to talk about this right now, but we will talk about what it is and why we need it. The program that I am recommending is FileZilla. Once again, why am I recommending this particular program? Do they pay me? No, I wish they did. But it is free and is cross-platform. So it works on Mac and PC. Okay, and none of you who run a Linux desktop can also run it if you wanted to. Once again, there are legitimately like 100 different FTP clients you could use. So if you want to use a different one, that's fine with me. I don't care. I'm just trying to give people a free, cross-platform option. And the other thing that I'd like you guys to have is Google Chrome and or Mozilla Firefox. Why do I want those browsers on your computer? The answer is they have a lot of built-in tools that are really helpful for web development. So it's like, why are we trying to reinvent the wheel? Why don't we just use software that already has really good debugging stuff in it? So that's why I recommend Chrome and Firefox. They're both, if you like one or the other, it's fine. I mean, their stuff's pretty comparable. You can do both if you really want to test out how your website looks in different browsers. They're both free, which so once again, it's like this is all free software. So there's really, in my opinion, no particular reason not to do it. All right. Required websites and access. You guys do need your SF State email. If you want to send me an email about something, officially, send it there. I may send you official email through there as well. We talked about Canvas. This is Canvas. Canvas is where all of the course related material will be uploaded, including like, syllabus, homework, labs, handouts, things like that. Um, if you're going to be using Figma, you have to create an account, like everything else on the internet these days. It's free like everything else on the internet, but you have to create an account kind of situation. We're also going to need, you guys are going to need a server. Okay. Um, I'm kind of in a love-hate relationship with this company called Infinity Free. The reason why I like it is it's the only free server that's easy, in my opinion, to set up. But it has its own problems in the fact that I don't want to get too deep into it, but it's like it sometimes has error. Some websites don't like it. Or if you try to access a website from Infinity Free Hosting, you can run into problems. You can also use GitHub, and I'll have a video about that. The thing about GitHub is kind of tricky for people who are maybe never going to use GitHub again. GitHub is really kind of a great tool if you're a programmer. And if you guys were all programmers, I would say you definitely need to learn GitHub. I would say it would be wrong of me not to teach you GitHub. But if you're just someone who's going to take one class doing minor level programming, I don't know if you really need to learn GitHub. It's kind of a pain to learn. It's very useful once you know it, but it's like it's not as easy out of the box kind of thing. And so that's typically why I don't try to use it. But Infinity Free is so bad now that I kind of think I may switch over to that just because I'm trying to come up with a free solution for you guys. And these are basically the only two free solutions that are on the internet that I'm aware of that do not cost any money. So we'll see. Hopefully, I'll figure it out the next week or two. But both of them are free accounts. So if you set up an Infinity Free, hence the name free, it's a free account to set up. You have to set it up. And the same as GitHub too. You can set up a GitHub account and we can, and then that's, eventually we can save to it kind of thing. Okay. All right, let's talk about Zoom. This is going to be our Zoom ID for the semester. I'm required to have a password to be able to do this, so I just made the password as simple as I could, which is 111111 or six ones in a row. When we have live sessions, I will be recording them. Uh, and when I record them, I have to have a password on them. I always make the password consistent, which is always the name of the class, the semester, and then the year, followed by exclamation point, all lowercase. So we are going to be, as I mentioned, we're going to be meeting Wednesdays, 9 to 11:45. You're expected to join no later than 9:10. Coming after that would be considered late or tardy, however you want to say it. This is going to be our meeting number. It's always going to be the same. It's going to be consistent. It's not going to change, as is the password. Sessions will be put up 48 hour, no later than 48 hours past the date. Zoom protocol. Students are asked during sessions, like live sessions, to use your microphone whenever possible. Okay. I know that Zoom, it's very easy to kind of sit there with your camera off and type stuff in the chat. But in terms of asking questions or having a conversation back and forth, it's really a lot harder to do it via chat. It's much easier to have a live conversation. So unless you're in a situation where it's like you can't talk live because maybe it's very loud where you are or something like that, or your microphone for your laptop is broken or something like that, I would strongly ask that you use your microphone and talk as opposed to chat. It just makes the course a lot easier. It makes it easier to have back and forth. I don't have to wait to see if something comes through the chat or not. There are going to be times you guys are going to present to each other, like, projects and things like that, where you show your work to people. So, you are going to present to other people, and I'd like you to, use your own video when possible for that. Although I'm not requiring video, I ask that you put up a profile picture of yourself, as in a picture of you. Why do I ask this? One, because I feel like it makes the live sessions more like a community, as opposed to everyone just being a bunch of white text on a black background, which feels very robotic and non-human. Having pictures feels more like human. Also, um, you guys are real people, and although I'm not on campus this semester, I might be next semester. You never know, and I might run into you. And if you run in, I've run into people who claim to be my students, and I didn't know who they were. And chances were they probably had their videos off. And so I'm a very visual person. I don't remember names very well. But I'm very good with pictures and visuals of like, oh, the person who wears the red hat and has the earring or something. That's the way my mind particularly works. So it really helps me to see you. And if it's not going to be live video, which I understand, I get why that's kind of annoying, or it's good to have like a photo. And I have a photo of myself. Currently, actually, it's my son. Oh, isn't that cute? I promise when we meet, I'll have a real picture of myself, though. All right, required self-help resources in the field of digital media. The field of digital media is constantly changing. What is new may be obsolete tomorrow. For this reason, students and professionals must demonstrate self-help abilities. There is a plethora of free and paid online sources that you can use throughout the semester to enhance your technical ability and software skills. Some of these I'm going to talk about later in the semester. Things like there's a very good website for web development called W3 Schools, which I strongly recommend. It's good for pretty much any sort of web-related type language. Can I use some? This will come up later, but oops, where are we at, yo? Adobe stuff, if you're using Adobe products, obviously YouTube. Obviously Google, obviously AI, although don't trust everything AI gives you. Sometimes it's very wrong. So trust but verify kind of situations. All right, let's talk about grades. You're required to complete labs and projects throughout the semester. You must complete all major labs to pass the course, regardless of your final grade. Attendance and participation are important and contribute to your overall grade in the course. Two or more unexcused absences will result in dropping of your final grade, a whole letter per additional unexcused absence. Critiques, assigned video tutorials, and readings are mandatory. This kind of gives you an idea of how I do grading. So,